I want to continue the conversation and refocus in on Meta Platforms. Of course, the breaking news, the hiring freeze, cost cutting, a small number of high priority growth areas that Meta is now focusing on. And the CEO basically saying that the company, by the end of next year, will be a somewhat smaller organization. Ed Ludlow sticking with us. Bloomberg Intelligence senior analyst Mandeep Singh jumping in right now to give his insights. And Mandeep, we didn't get specifics here on just how smaller this organization is going to get, but do you anticipate that the cuts, both in terms of people as well as costs, will be enough?
Yeah, so look, I mean, it was obvious looking at, their headcount growth last year, which was close to 30%, that they were overhired. And in the last couple of years, Meta had been growing headcount in line with their top line. And we know this year their top line growth will be almost, flat, or even for first half 23, we know they're not going to be growing. So clearly their fixed cost base is growing at a faster pace than their top line, and that's adding to the margin pressure. So my sense is any restructuring would involve at least 5% of the workforce here, and they have to do more because their gross margins are going down with the pivot to videos, and the expense continues to creep up, and the top line isn't growing. So it's just that simple in terms of the equation they have to solve for in terms of balancing the margins.
Talk to us about the smaller number high priority growth areas. Are they for you, are they for the street, the right growth areas, Mandeep?
Well, so I think Meta is in a very tough spot because, one, the social media space is moving more and more towards videos, and both their platforms aren't that big in terms of the video adoption by creators, so they have to bring more creators to the platform. And the other is they are looking for ways to monetize WhatsApp, and that to me is key. If they can drive more WhatsApp into the business realm and figure out a way to monetize, that can be the balancing act. But to me, videos and WhatsApp seem to be the core growth areas. Reality Labs, they have to curtail that more. I think more of the restructuring will be centered around Reality Labs right now because that $10 billion OPEX was really hurting in the cash flow line, and I think that is what they will try to fix here.
So smart on fundamentals, as Mandeep Singh. Ed, we pivot back to you as well for further news about what you're hearing about this meeting.
Yes, we have a kind of transcript of what Zuckerberg told employees via a source in the room who, again, is asked not to be identified. But Mark Zuckerberg is talking about how a lot of employees had come forward to ask what the company sees for the future from a macro context, and that this news about the restructuring and ultimately reading between the lines what he says about being a smaller company in 2023, let's call it what it is, headcount reduction seems to be the end goal, but it was part of the full year 2023 budget process. Now, as all executives always do, there's a number of caveats here. The management team is still working through, and this is just a high-level plan, that they will share more details about the areas that they will prioritize and share more details about the areas they will cut. But as we discussed earlier, Zuckerberg zeroes in on the macroeconomy remaining tough and volatile, which means the company will, and I'm paraphrasing to a certain extent, will have fewer resources to work with. And this is a quote from Zuckerberg, of course, via a source in the room who's asked not to be identified. These resources to work with are less than I or any of us would want to have had. Of course they are.
All right, Ed Ludlow here, as well as Mandeep Singh. Our thanks to both of them. Breaking news that we'll be following throughout the day. Meta Platform shares down about 4% after announcing a hiring freeze and warning employees of a restructuring. A company that's said to be getting smaller as it navigates the macro environment, and a big shift by Mark Zuckerberg to the metaverse.